Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be discussing what things you might want to consider before purchasing your first RV. But before we kick that off, those of you who have been following the channel, you will have noticed that when I'm outside the sound quality is a little bit off. Well, today I got my Rode wireless transmitters for the audio. I'm going to hook that up to this camera now and see if it makes any difference to our audio. Okay guys, welcome back. Got my new microphone here. Let's see how that goes. Alright, today we're going to be discussing some of the considerations you might want to make before going out and spending a whole heap of money on an RV. So I've probably got about 20, 22, 23 things that you might want to consider. Okay, so without further ado, let's roll the intro. Okay, so you've thought that you'll go out, you get yourself an RV, you'll start traveling around. Hang on, hold up a bit. How about finding out if you actually want to do this? I would highly recommend that you go out and hire a camper van for a weekend or a week, and you take your family out in it and you try it out and see what it's like. Because if your family doesn't like it, your husband doesn't like it, your wife doesn't like it, then you're going to blow a whole heap of money and it's not going to get you that bang for the buck back. So go out, hire an RV, go for a holiday, take the family with you, see if you will enjoy it. Don't just do this once though. Do it a couple of times. Go in different seasons. Check it out, because each season is different and the camping is different. Go to different areas as well, where your camping is different. Try it out first, see if you like it. Okay, my number 2, underlying reason for buying the RV. Are you buying the RV to go on holidays with your families once or twice or 3 times a year? Or are you buying the RV to be full-time in the RV and traveling around? Are you retiring? What is going to be the use that you're going to be putting your RV to? You need to know this to make sure you're getting the value of the money that you're putting into this. My third consideration is your budget. How much money are you going to invest into this activity? Now, most people's budgets when they come to holidaying are quite varied. There are ways around being able to increase your budget through loans and things like that. But you need to take into account how much is the RV going to cost initially? What are going to be the ongoing maintenance costs? What are going to be the ongoing licensing costs? The costs for actually going away on your trip, whether that be fuel, camping fees, all the other bits and pieces that you're going to stick into the RV to make your camping and holidaying experience that much better. You need to include things like insurance as well. The list is quite extensive. Okay, number 4. Size and layout. If you are retirees and there's only 2 people in the van, or if you're by yourself, then you're not going to need quite so much space. But if you've got your young children going along, you're probably going to want them inside the RV at night. You want to make sure that they're safe. As your children get older, they're not going to want to be in the RV with you. They're going to maybe want to be outside in a tent or doing something different. So determine what time frame you're going to have this RV and what milestones your family is going to hit as your children and family get bigger and expand, and whether that RV is going to meet those requirements all the way through. The other thing is RVs are small. Even the big ones compared to your house are small. You need to be able to make sure that you're all going to be able to fit in there. Make sure that you've got some breathing space amongst you all, because there is no getting away. You are in that box, and that's where you stay for your holiday. My number 6. Are you going to get new or are you going to buy used? Now obviously if you've got a limited budget, then buying a used van can be very economical. A lot of times they'll come with improvements already in there. They'll have equipment already in there. But depending on the age of that vehicle will determine that whether or not you need to do a lot more maintenance. If you're a bit handy, if you're a tradesperson or just a jack of all trades, and you're happy to muck in and try to fix things yourself, a used van might be a very, very good option for you to make your dollar go that much further. My number 7, the towing capacity of your vehicle. If you are going to buy a travel trailer, you need to be able to pull that vehicle. You need to know how much weight your vehicle that you plan on pulling your travel trailer with, how much it can actually pull. You don't want to overload the vehicle either by the weight that you're pulling or overloading the brakes by having the van pushing you from behind and wearing out your brakes. You need to consider those weight aspects and make sure you maintain within the weight aspects of both your vehicles, the vehicle that is towing and the vehicle that is being towed. My number 8. What do you want inside your van? What sort of amenities do you want? Do you want to have an onboard bathroom? Do you want to have a gourmet kitchen? Do you want to have bunk beds for your children? Do you want to have a separate master bedroom for mum and dad? These are things you need to consider before you drop that money. Do you want to have anything in particular that you wanted for your van? We made up a list of the items that we wanted in our vans, and we tried to tick off as many of those things as we possibly could. We went to the camping shows and had a look at the vans that were there. We got the kids to lie in the bunks. We did all that sort of stuff beforehand to narrow down exactly what it is that we wanted in our van. And I suggest before you deal out any dough, make those same considerations. My number 9, fuel efficiency. Okay, so if you are going to overload your vehicle that you're towing, you're going to chew through a lot more fuel. You also, if you're going to be getting a motorhome, what fuel is your motorhome going to be using? How far are you going to be going? What's your budget for paying for fuel? All of these things you need to take into account and think about. My wife and I, we've had a lot of experience with travel trailers and motorhomes. We've been doing this since about 2001. The first couple of trips that we did, we hired a vehicle. The first one we went on was with a B-class camper van. That was to test the waters, see if we liked it. We did. About 12 months later, we did another. We did a tour in a C-class camper van, another one that we hired for 2 weeks. We still enjoyed that. That went through a lot of different environments. We went through the mountains and lakes, districts, and across plains and things. So we really tried out all the different scenarios that could be presented to us. Finally, we decided, okay, we're going to buy a van. By that stage, we had children had come along. So our first 2 trips were just by ourselves. The next vehicle we bought was like a Jayco. It was about a 17-foot little Jayco travel trailer. It served us well. We spent probably about 6 months in that little Jayco travel trailer. And the problem I had with it was a pop-up, and the top of my head and the top of the door entering and coming in and out of the van, they got really, really well acquainted. It was at that height where it was just out of my eyesight, and every time well, not every time, but many times was going in. I've probably still got scars on my head from all the damage that I did. That was to determine whether the children liked it. The children loved it. So the next thing we did was we bought a very large travel trailer, family van with bunks and master bedroom and shower and toilet and washing machines and everything that you could possibly imagine we had in that vehicle. Now that Janie and I are retiring, and we're going to be travelling around the US, we've opted for a A-class motorhome so that we've got space for ourselves and the capacity to tow another car, so that when we're going and sightseeing, we have that option available to us by just jumping in the car and going off and looking at things. So we've had a progression through to where we are now. And I think that's the same sort of progression that any new RV owner should consider. There generally isn't a one size fits all arrangement when it comes to the RVs. All right, now the next thing to consider would be insurance costs. Now, the insurance costs vary from state to state with your coverages. Shop around. Get the best bang for your buck. One thing I would say is do not have insurance. Make sure you've got insurance cover for both your vehicle that you're driving and the vehicle that you're towing, and if it's a motorhome, for the motorhome, and if you're towing a vehicle behind it, for that vehicle as well. The cost of it in comparison to the cost of the RV is not a lot. Very, very worthwhile. Shop around, see what you can find.
12.
Okay, my number 12. Something to consider, a lot of people don't consider this, is the resale value of the RV that you're going to buy. If you're buying a brand new RV for, I don't know what brand news are worth, $120,000. If you consider that your resale value for that might be $70,000 within 12 months, and again, I don't know if that ratio is reasonable or not. I'm just plucking some figures out to work with. That's a $50,000 hit for your 12 months. However, if you go the other way and you buy a second-hand one, you may find that the resale value is similar to the value that you purchased it for. The older the vehicle, the more true that becomes. Additionally, if you buy brand new, then you're covered with all the warranties and all of those sorts of things. However, do you want to have to wait in line to get all these things sorted out when you could be out RVing? So there's trade-offs one way or the other. With the second-hand ones, as I mentioned before, a lot of them come with stuff already thrown in. So there's a saving on stocking out your RVs. However, I will say one thing though in the middle of this. Yard sales and things like that are really good for picking up stuff to put in your RV, like plates and knives and forks and all of those cups and things. You don't have to go and buy those brand new either. Something to consider.
13.
This one's my number 13, the cost of the RV parks. Okay, do some research. Do some research about the availability, do some research about the costs, do some research about where you can stay. A lot of places don't cost you anything. A lot of places cost you a lot. There are a lot of apps available which will have campsites listed on them. You can plug in the values of how much you want to pay per night, whether you want to stay somewhere free. Get these apps onto your phones, get your navigator, it might be your wife or your husband, whoever's navigating, get them to find where all the campsites are and work it out. Just do a little bit of pre-research before you head off.
14.
Okay, my next one, number 14, length and weight restrictions. You need to know what your restrictions are for your particular license. I've already covered this in a very long and tedious video already. If you want to have a look at that, just click on this one up here and it'll take you there. But it's important to know what you can drive, what you're allowed to drive, and what weights that you should be looking at to keep yourself safe. Do some research.
15.
Number 15. This is actually quite a big one. A lot of people, for some reason, just don't even think about this. That's the weather conditions. If you are a full-time RVer, you need to know what's going on with the weather. If you end up in a situation where it's freezing conditions, you need to winterize your vehicles and make sure that your onboard piping is not going to get damaged through the severe cold. You may decide that when it's getting cold, you're going to head south and get out of that area altogether. On the other side of the coin, the weather conditions when it gets too hot. How are you going to keep yourself cool? How are you going to keep your family cool? How much water are you going to be taking on board? All of those things you need to consider as well.
16.
Okay, my number 16. Now this really pertains more to the new RVs. Warranty and service centres. So if you've got a brand new RV and something breaks down, you want to know where you can take it to get it fixed. It should be fixed under warranty, but you need to know where that is. If you're travelling around somewhere, then your service centre might be 100 miles away. If you are in a second-hand RV and you're doing all the maintenance yourself, then having a knowledge of where there are outlets that can provide you with the equipment that you need to make these repairs would be advantageous as well. So if you've got a Fleetwood, maybe try to get a map that you can put in a folder in your RV of all the Fleetwood centres where you can get the parts for that particular vehicle that you're using. These things, you don't want to be doing them on the fly. You can do them when you're at home and get them all listed out, ready to go.
17.
Okay, my number 17. If the opportunity presents itself where you can take the RV motorhome for a test drive, or spend some time with the travel trailer that you wish to purchase, either by renting one or knowing somebody that's got one, take that opportunity. Try it out first. Try before you buy. If the opportunity's there, grab onto it with both hands and try before you buy.
18.
My number 18. So there's a lot of RV forums, RV communities. Get a list of them. There might be a point where you need to ask a question, and there's 100,000 RVers out there who you can place this question to. Chances are one of those people is going to have the right answer for you. So have a look at some of the forums, make a list of them, and choose the one that you're happy with. I've done it. I've used the forums before to work out how to repair one of my vans that was leaking severely, and the cost for the repair through the dealer was about $7,000, and through the forums I worked out a way to do it, and it was better. The result was better than I would have got through the dealership, and the cost was about $200. It's really, really worthwhile taking part and reading up and getting involved with some of the forums.
19.
My number 19, safety features. Take note of where your fire extinguishers are. Take note of whether you've got smoke detectors. Take note of whether you've got the carbon monoxide detectors, making sure that they're all working. We also included in Australia fire blankets. We had one fire blanket for each person who was travelling in our vehicle, so that in a bushfire situation we could wrap ourselves up in these fire blankets, stay inside our vehicle, allow the fire front to pass through and completely destroy our camper trailer, caravan, travel trailer, and set our car on fire before we decamped from the car inside our fire blankets, just to give you a better chance of survival. Have a look at some of this stuff. Safety equipment, it could save your life. Keep it working, make sure it's tested, make sure it's in good working order, and throw in a few of these little bits and pieces that hopefully you never get to use.
20.
Okay, my number 20, financial planning. Okay, make sure that when you enter into this, you can actually afford what you're going to do. Worst case scenario is you buy a camper van, buy a motorhome. You can't afford to go anywhere with it because all you're doing is paying off what you've borrowed to buy it. Make sure that you're going to get the benefit of it, and that you can afford to get the benefit of it before you actually pull the trigger and jump in.
21.
Okay, my last one, legal requirements. Make sure that you've got your license, registration, insurance, and that it's valid for the state that you're in. Again, do some research, find out, but make sure you're covering off all the legal requirements that you need to operate and use your RV. Okay guys, that's my top 21 considerations that I think you should make before you pull the trigger and buy your RV. Obviously there's probably more, But I hope that gives you some idea of a starting point, of things that you should be considering. As always, if you enjoyed the content in the video, hit the subscribe button. Help us out. We need more subscribers. We need some more likes. Thanks, guys. See you next time.